Talk about a he-man.
Well, they're going in now. Hawthorn not taking any funny business today. Look at them going in, rolling in there.
It is on everywhere in here, boys. Spot fires all over the place.
And there it is, Pachoni, all McFall. And Vandenberg letting lefts and rights go to the feet.
Can't do that.
And here comes Welch to remonstrate with Vandenberg.
This is the 1980s revisited.
Chance for McVeigh. He's about 5 metres short. Hit hard by Lloyd.
And they're going to be angry.
Oh, here we go.
They are going to be angry, the Hawks. It is angry.
Hodge and Lloyd. Osmond's coming over the top.
We're not going to forget in a hurry what Matty Lloyd did, and I hope he plays on next year. Like I said, Matty Lloyd, he's done that a fair few times to us, and I think he's one of the biggest snipers in the game.
As a kid growing up, I hated Hawthorn as much as more than any team. Dermot, Brett, and Dipper, the whole lot. I don't like Hawthorn. I didn't like Hawthorn very much at all when I was a supporter of Essendon. They used to beat us up when I was a kid.
Hello, welcome to Access to All Areas, brought to you by OPSM. Damien Barrett with you, as always, four-time premiership coach, player of the century, Lee Matthews. Lee, the competitive juices flow when you look at vision like that, and you gave Brian Wood a little tickle up in that 85 vision.
Yeah, that rivalry in the mid-80s when Hawthorn played Essendon for 3 consecutive grand finals. A lot of stuff went on around that era, so that's where this modern-day rivalry began. I don't know whether it was the good old days or the bad old days, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
Back then.
Hey, Travis Cloke's been the story pretty much all year. It's different, I suppose, twist this week. The Collingwood fans have turned on him. What's your take on that?
Well, that's partly because he hasn't had a very good few months. He hasn't had a great year, so therefore they're thinking, he's not worth anywhere near the big money. But they forget last year, he and Franklin were the two-gun big forwards in the game. The fan backlash has surprised me. In the PR battle, the club's won this. Maybe Collingwood fans think it's an honour to play for the club. If you don't want to play for us, don't play. But they cannot win their premiership this year without Travis Cloke playing somewhere near his best.
And that's what they've got to remember, don't they?
Yeah,
I mean, it's all very well to say if he
absolutely.
doesn't want to be at the club right now, and that's what they're saying because he won't sign up. But they're no good without him, Lee.
Well, they're not going to be a premiership team. I tell you what comes around goes around. Whenever we were trying to re-sign Jonathan Brown at the Lions in 2005, then 2008, Collingwood, they were the Fremantle of the time. They had the big offer on the table. They were saying to Jonathan Brown, you come back to Melbourne, you'll earn $1.5 million.
$1.5 million even back then?
But I mean, that'll be $1 million in the salary cap maybe, but you'll earn money, you'll work for Channel 9.
That was the figure you're aware of as coach.
That was what they told him he could earn coming back to Melbourne. Not for playing footy, this is what he'd earn. So there was a big offer on the table, and that's why Jonathan eventually stayed with the Lions at the end of 2008. But all year, when you know that kind of offer's on the table, you think to yourself, well, I've got to get the maximum off my existing club. Might not be going to go anywhere, but I got to negotiate really hard because there's a definitive offer of big money on the table. That's where I see the Cloke thing.
Yeah, people who follow us on Twitter at AFL_AAA have also got their views on this, and they've been very vocal all week about it. Matt says Collingwood has turned on Travis Cloke because he is very selfish. It's a team sport, not a one-man squad. #shameful. And Chris says they haven't turned on him, but he's not playing anywhere near what he thinks he is worth. Needs to get the runs on the board first. And Lee, that's a really good point there. He's just not playing to his All-Australian best, is he?
Well, he got the runs on the board last year, but this last few months he's not playing to that level, and I guess that's very short memories, most footy fans.
David Cloke's involvement in this is a sticking point, particularly for Collingwood Footy Club. You know him, you've dealt with him. He's not going to buckle one bit on this, is he?
Oh no, he's a very, you could say stubborn, but he's forthright in his thinking. And of course, he went from Richmond to Collingwood, slipped out of Collingwood really as he got older, spent his last couple of years back at Richmond. So David knows from his own personal experience that footy clubs will do what's best for the footy club. So in a career livelihood point of view, the individual might as well do what's best for him because ultimately you've only got a short time in that high-earning football, playing capacity.
Yeah. Adelaide's Kurt Tippetley missing this week's game against Geelong. Will likely miss the Essendon game next week as well. Medicos are now sorting his future. This is the most recent concussion, the third concussion he's received in his past 4 matches. They look at innocuous incidents. We'll see this one and a previous one in the year too. And look, some people around Curtin, people at Adelaide are saying the fact they're innocuous and the fact they're unlucky is actually a reason to not to have too much concern. Other people are saying the fact they are unlucky and innocuous is actually the single greatest cause for him to have a real worry with footy. What's your take on it? Because his time in the game, certainly in a 2012 perspective, is on the line as we speak. Because he had neurology tests in Melbourne yesterday. Yeah,
well, it's a difficult thing because it's very hard to measure. As you know, they're not innocuous. What happened? They were head clashes. As players can't protect themselves with their body going into contact, we're going to see more and more head clashes. Which is why I keep thinking to myself, surely some kind of head wear down the track, might be 10 years' time, to make the game safer. Because say that Logan, he hit the back of Logan's head. If Logan had had some headwear on, maybe the whole contact might not be as bad.
Compulsory headwear?
Well, if it's not compulsory, they're not going to wear it. And I'm not talking now. I'm talking about sort of reading the play and seeing what's going on in the footy world to try and make the game safer. Helmets at the moment don't protect you from concussion, according to the medical people, but surely we have to work on making some kind of headwear protection that protects the player a little bit without damaging the opponents. Because head clashes are going to become more and more prevalent. And two hard heads clashing together, that hurts.
Yeah, it's a major worry for the AFL, and they've certainly been all over it. They certainly can't be accused of taking their eye off the ball on this one. They've really ramped up what they're doing with concussion and are looking now, Lee, at what happens to Tippett. It's not just going to be an Adelaide Footy Club decision. This will be an AFL decision in terms of when he comes back. And there will be some senior medicos around this country suggesting to the AFL that he should sit out the rest of the year. Now, whether he does or not, a whole lot is still yet play out on this, but it's a real watch this space issue. Those tests done yesterday will take some time to have the results formulated and analysed. Lee, that great package off the top here, the rivalry, Hawthorn and Essendon, the 85 brawl, which you were part of, you saw there, also 204 and 209. We'll just have a look at the Essendon side of this game tonight about where they're at. Let's have a look at their draw. Can they make the 8 on what they've got lined up, Lee, with the final 6 matches?
Well, I reckon they'd still beat Carlton at the moment and I'd still think, it depends who they can get back. The trouble is they've had so many players missing with injury interrupted years. What it says, I don't think they can figure in premiership contention.
Sure.
Whether they can hang on and finish in the bottom half of the 8, that's their challenge.
They're your stagger team for this particular round, aren't they?
For that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many players that just got injured. I mean, Ryder is enormous out. Cranberry might miss again. I mean, they've just had so many players that have got injuries and this soft tissue stuff that we've spoken about. I mean, it's just made it too hard to get their best side on the field often enough. So that they look like they were a top 4 team not long ago.
Yep.
Now they're battling to stay in the 8.
History would suggest that a team with 11 wins after 16 completed games would make the finals. You're going to put your name on the line?
My gut feeling is they'll win the 1 or 2 games necessarily to play finals still.
Your swagger for this week is the team they play, Hawthorn. Tell us why they're the swagger team.
Well, because I saw them last Saturday afternoon. They played Collingwood, who were a really good team, and Hawthorn demolished them. Now, I know Carlton beat Collingwood a month ago, but they were just fantastic. This is a good example of just what they were like all day. Quick hands, Collingwood's tackling pressure. They weren't able to get the ball back off Hawthorn. I mean, footy's a glorified game of keepings off. Forget all this structure stuff. You've got to win the ball in the first place. Then the question is, can you maintain possession before the opposition can get it back? Hawthorn did those 2 key factors. Mitchell in the middle. I mean, they just looked terrific. And you know what really hit me? They only had 7 players playing last week who played in their 2008 premiership team. So they've had a massive changeover of players from other clubs, a few of them, and then some draft choices that weren't high draft choices, like Bruce, we just saw one, who've been terrific contributors.
I hear a passion in your voice here that you don't have when you talk about Collingwood and Brisbane. It's still Hawthorn for you, isn't it?
Well, the team you played for is the one that you sort of, I guess, as they say, you bled for in a sense. You're out there in the middle. I mean, coaching, you're kind of almost a glorified spectator in a way, as much as you're so heavily involved at the time. But I find as time goes on, the team you played for seems to be the team you feel are most aligned to long term.
Yep. I want to go back to your 4th last season in the then VFL League, 1982. 32 years ago this round, this happened. Take us through it.
Well, that was a famous incident because the point post snapped. I like the mythical version. I just wanted to smash it to smithereens to show people how tough I was, but wasn't quite as macho as that.
Did you actually feel much on that? I mean,
no, I must have been. I didn't even know I bumped into the point post. I just thought I'd bumped into a pack of players, so it wasn't Well, it was good image building stuff, Damo. That's the best I can say.
Geelong had a really impressive win last week against the Bombers, Lee. The fact it was the Bombers, does that take a little bit away of what they're about at the moment? And also to give us a preview of their crunch game against Adelaide on Saturday.
Well, Geelong were very good, and again, they got a lot of good performance out of some of the next generation players, so that was good. But I thought Essendon were quite poor. This, to me, is if Geelong have to be able to beat the Crows at home at Simmons Stadium to make you think, yeah, they're still in the top 5 or 6, as opposed to, again, trying to hang on to their position at the bottom part of the 8. So it's going to be a really... Because the Crows, they've been just the big improver. They've been the team. Every year, a team seems to come from the bottom to pop up the top. The Crows have been this year's team.
Who wins that game? Geelong, Adelaide?
I'm going to stick to Geelong at Simmons Stadium.
Yeah. Another big game in the round is Carlton and Richmond. We talk about finals matches coming early. This one easily, isn't it? The loser of this simply is out of the race.
I think so. I mean, you're getting to the stage where it becomes the mathematical possibility. If the loser of Carlton and Richmond pretty much has to win every game from now on, even to play final. So I think you can fairly much say they're going to knock. And again, that's been one of footy's great rivalries. So both sides would be pretty keen to put the death knell into the opponents.
Lee, when Luke Darcy was on this panel on Monday in the OPSM poll, we asked, should any ground invader be banned from attending a game for life? Now, this is interesting. No was the overwhelming answer. 39 saying yes, they should be banned, and 61% saying no, which I think goes against what certainly what I think and what you think as well.
Well, I would have thought so. I think we've got to prevent it.
Yeah.
So that means, oh, well, you can run on once or twice, then we'll ban you.
Lee, thanks again for access all
David.
areas. You joining us here. I'll be back on Monday with Matthew Richardson on the next edition of Access to All Areas. Luke Darcy's pretending he's working in London at the Olympics. We don't think he is. Enjoy the footy on the weekend and have a good one.